The moment Aaron Cole realized the cafe table had been arranged for a wheelchair, his chest tightened, and not in the way grief usually announces itself, but in the quiet, sinking way truth arrives when you are unprepared for it. Sunlight streamed through the wide glass windows, spilling over pale wooden floors, the day bright and ordinary. Yet his hands trembled as if the room had tilted. He had come because someone promised him a harmless blind date, a simple attempt to remember how to breathe after years of surviving for his son. Instead, he felt tricked, exposed, and suddenly afraid of how small his heart had become. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Life Spark Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Aaron was a single father who measured his days in lunchboxes packed before sunrise and school pickups under a cloudless sky. His wife had died 4 years earlier, leaving him with a 6-year-old boy and a life that felt permanently paused. Daytime was when he worked, cooked, cleaned, and pretended he was okay. Nights were for exhaustion and guilt. His coworker insisted he needed to meet someone and arranged the date without telling him the truth. Aaron agreed out of fatigue, not hope. He had forgotten how fragile expectations could be. Across the table sat Mara Linwood, her wheelchair positioned neatly, her posture steady, her face calm in the warm daylight. There was no self-pity in her expression, only a stillness that made the cafe noise fade. Aaron noticed the way people glanced and then looked away, how sunlight caught the silver spokes of her chair, how she carried herself with a dignity that unsettled him more than sympathy ever could. He felt angry at first, angry at the deception, at being put in a situation he hadn't prepared his heart for, angry at himself for that anger. As the minutes passed, the weight inside him shifted. Mara spoke about ordinary things through narration and description of her presence rather than spoken words, about mornings she loved, because daylight made her feel included in the world again, about volunteering at a library where children listened more closely when she read to them. Aaron found himself thinking of his son, of how children never noticed what adults feared. The cafe smelled of coffee and warm bread, and for the first time in years, Aaron was not watching the clock. Then came the moment that broke him, not through sound but through meaning. Aaron learned that Mara had once been a runner, someone who greeted the morning by racing the sunrise, until a daytime accident took her legs, but not her sense of purpose. What shattered him was not the loss itself, the truth she carried afterward. She believed people were not defined by what they lost, but by what they chose to protect. She had protected her kindness when bitterness would have been easier. She had protected her belief in connection when isolation felt safer. And she told him, without knowing his wounds, that she hoped to meet someone who didn't need saving, only understanding. Aaron felt something inside him crack open, had been protecting his grief so tightly that he forgot to protect his capacity to love. In the bright afternoon light, realized how much of his son's world he had watched from behind a wall of fear. Mara's presence did not ask him to fix anything. It simply reflected the truth he had avoided, that life could still be whole even when broken. The date ended quietly, with sunlight lower in the sky and Aaron stepping outside feeling lighter and heavier all at once. Suddenly healed, but he was awake. He picked up his son later that day with a different posture, kneeling in the schoolyard instead of waving from a distance. Laughter replaced caution. The next morning, he noticed how daylight filled their kitchen, how life had been happening all along. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Your engagement tells us these stories matter and encourages more moments of hope to be told. Before this story ends, I have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what second chance means to you, or who this story reminded you of. Because sometimes, in the clearest daylight, we meet someone who doesn't change our circumstances, but changes the way we see ourselves, and that can be enough to begin again.